All right. I am here with Joe Convertino Jr., who is president of CH Insurance, which is a longtime client of mine. Welcome, Joe, and thanks for being here today to share your story.
Hey, Angela, how you been? Glad I can help.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So appreciate. So I wanted to give, for the benefit of all, take us back to 2011. And we had a conversation about where you're an independent agency, Joe. So you have many carrier partner relationships, and those have evolved somewhat, of course, over the years. But what's evolved most is how your company is received and perceived in the marketplace, and it all began with the seeds that we planted back in 2011. So can you share what was what was life like at CH Insurance when we met in 2011? Let's give some context for kind of the before and after here, of before we started
Yeah.
working together and after.
Well, it's hard to believe that was 14 years ago. So we've been around for 25 years. So, call it halfway through. I joined my dad as a partner probably in '02, and I have a marketing sales background, and no one was really doing this in our space. And we were growing. We had a great staff, and somehow the light bulb went off, and I got referred to you, and I'll never forget. Called you on July 4th. You picked up the call.
I
Like,
answered the
who
call.
is this guy? And once I get my mind on something, and then we chatted, and you said, we should have a cup of coffee and chat. And you kind of uncovered some things that for next level stuff that I thought we should be doing, but how we needed to do it, and how you brought different phases to it. And that really opened our eyes. And it started with that envisioning session, that maybe you want to get into. And one thing I would say that at least in our business, we're selling insurance, renewing insurance, managing the office, the marketplace, the issues, the staff, the this and that. We needed help. And you were that great resource that helped us get to that next level with some different topics you brought up. And we're just so appreciative, and, where we became today.
So when we talk, yes, so we started with the envisioning, and one of the key things as we led into the envisioning is selecting key leadership. And you were cut from a marketing cloth. You understood the importance of branding, and storytelling wasn't really so much quite yet part of your lexicon, but it did become more and more so over time. But you had to get your leadership, and we worked together to get your leadership on board so that this was an organic and authentic process. And when we got into the envisioning, and then I delivered you your directions for success workbook with the different brand promise scenarios and shaping the stories and examples of what the future could look like. One of the key questions I asked you, if you recall, if you can comment to this, is what's your last move? And you said, well, I don't know what the last move is. I said, well, before we make the first one, let's talk about the exit strategy. And your comment to me is, remember, you said, well, I don't know if we'll ever sell. You remember that?
Yeah, we've acquired a few places,
You
you've
were in growth mode at that point. You weren't thinking
right.
about selling the
Right.
company
You're in
then.
growth mode. You're starting other programs that help within your system. So we had to keep our eye on the bobber in a growth mode that, you know, kind of peeled back the onion to what we do and how we do it. So it helped with policies and procedures internally and dealing with customers.
And what we did, if you'll recall, we reverse engineered. We said, okay, in your mission, vision, values, and in your brand promise, we absolutely must reflect what you had as your number one goal is that you wanted to be known and become known as the number one independent broker for the markets and communities that you served. There were multiple things that you and your leadership team all agreed on that were vitally important to the DNA of and the future of CH. Talk to me about your response to the brand promise and your team's response to the brand promise, and what happened. How was that a turning point for you? Because I know before you've said, you were a little bit stuck. Yes, you were in growth mode, but you really weren't sure. Okay, but we're kind of swimming in the sameness here, and we're not sure how to break out of that and get to the next level. How did your brand promise and the essence of storytelling become a turning point for you and the firm?
Well, I would think a couple years after you worked with us, the evolution of the brand promise that I'm sure we'll get to in your corner. I mean, it was great what you did, and this doesn't happen overnight. I remember you put, whiteboards in our rooms and the staff, tell me about CH Insurance, what you do well, what you do bad. Here's the bigger broker, here's the family broker, here's this. And it opened our eyes, Angela, to really what we do well. We can't be everything for everybody, but it helped narrow the path of what we could become. And as everybody knows, when you think of insurance, to your viewers out there, you cringe, right? You got to pay the premium, you hit a deer, there's an accident in a building, there's a partial fire,
It's not happy stuff. It's not
it's
happy.
you've always said we're in a industry that's not happy, and
Low trust
it's
and
nerve
low
wracking,
trust.
and it's trust. And one thing we developed is people listen to this. We try to make insurance fun, and not from the fun of, oh, you got to pay your premium, but just having fun with what you do day in and day out. And it helped our culture internally. It helped our culture with our partner carriers. So we have over 15 carriers, that take care of us, that takes care of a client. So it metaphored into really everything. And then once that became next level stuff with social media and LinkedIn and Facebook and all of that, was the storytelling of what we do day in and day out throughout the year. And it gravitated and morphed in something real big that, you know, kept us in a straight line, but knew where we were going in the next 3 to 5 years. And from that, it spun off into other things that we do,
Yeah, we
things that you're
created
doing with my
programs.
team,
Yeah,
right?
and we've
And
created
it's,
programs around that were offshoots of that primary brand, like your Boost program for group benefits, etc.
yep. So it was great. I couldn't do it alone. I needed buy-in from my key people. One was my dad, which, I would always say, he's always saying there's nothing like youth in the business. And back then, obviously I was younger than today, still fired up and energized, but you got to keep that North Star going. And now we have younger people here giving me ideas, right? And doing
Yes,
different things. And
the lifeblood of the
it
innovation
still
and the
keeps
ideation
going.
and the
And,
creativity and
I'm just so pleased with the brand and storytelling that you made us aware of. And it's next level stuff. It's next level
when
stuff.
when you talk about culture, I want to drill a little more deeply on that, because oftentimes people think about marketing, maybe they use the word storytelling, but they think about taglines and in your corner was much bigger and deeper than a tagline. And can you talk about what it's done for your agency in terms of vetting out talent that maybe wasn't aligned with that North Star, as well as potentially attracting people and good talent that could be aligned with once that North Star was crystallized?
Right. I would say, from a culture standpoint, we live, breathe in your corner. So with an employee, right? Everything doesn't always go right, but
Sure.
were you in their corner, right? did we do the right things to make the client better, make the service better, and truly being in their corner? From a standpoint of prospecting and different things that we do to get new business, you know, it would cut the ice. I hope you're going to be in our corner today and you better take care of this and this. One thing,
Create conversations, create
it
conversations.
makes the conversation less stressful. Now, we love sports up here in Central New York, Syracuse fans, Yankee fans. We're a golfing community. We love
Fanatics.
fanatics. My dad always says, he's walking up or on a cart in a fairway. Hey, Joe Senior, are you in our corner? I mean, it's crazy. It's the little things. And I'll tell you, you said it was going to take 10 years, 5 years, as far as, you know, it's in your corner. A client, if we asked any client, tell me a little bit about CH Insurance. Oh, Angela, they're in our corner. They are so good. They do this, this, and this.
Yes.
So
It's self-evident and self-proving.
it's
And I think
helping.
it was maybe only within 18 months, Joe, or to 2 years where we had the market starting to say it back to us. It's deepened now where there isn't anybody you could toss a golf ball at somebody on any golf course and they would know your brand promise. It's that pervasive and pernicious now. But even after 18 months or so, you move from that awareness into the more preference stage of growth that we talked about with the brand. And I would have your VP of sales, who's now the senior VP of sales, John. I would have different leaders or employees within your organization come to me when I would come in and do a workshop with your team or do a renewal on the workbook, whatever it might be, a refresh. And they would say, I had this person come up and say this to me, or I walked in this room. And that's really what a brand promise should do, right? It should talk with you, talk for you in the rooms that you're not there. That was one of the things, Joe, if you'll recall, we talked about early on as well, is that your storytelling and your promise should be an extension of your sales team. It's like putting 10 salespeople out there on the streets for you,
I
right?
agree. It's very powerful. It led to a development of a website. It led to a development from a powerful brochure. I know a lot of people aren't big on brochures, right? You know, a leave behind that's powerful. You taught us that. A proposal, enhancing a proposal that it's all got to be in sync. And you taught us that if everything's in sync, it makes the decision that much easier. It's still a relationship business, but it allows us to compete with the big brokers, the mega brokers. I'm not saying middle big is bad, but it made us stand out. And we don't get every deal, but at the end of the day, this whole brand promise is all in sync with everything we're doing. And it led to radio. It led to some small TV commercials. It's led to YouTube videos. It's leading to Instagram. Now I'm into Instagram. I used to be Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Twitter's out. Now I'm just believing in Instagram and Facebook. And so
Well,
I'm,
congruence. And I think, because that's the nature of, this too, Joe, the nature of marketing and the nature of business is evolution and changing and adapting and being nimble and being able to meet people where they're at, whatever the platform might be evolving into. But the universal principle is there. Be congruent, be known, be liked, be trusted, and create something that's different and relevant to allow you to compete in a way that others can't. All things mostly being equal, it's going to come down to your people and it's going to come down to your promise, what those people are promising. And then are they keeping their promise? Are they congruent? And wherever I go, do I know I'm in the right place? I recognize it, I feel it, I see it, whether I'm
yeah.
walking in your offices or your virtual offices. You can see on your background right now, hashtag in your
Right.
corner.
Well, and when you come into the office, the energy is powerful. And it's when I say culture, this whole, forget just the mission, vision, and all of that, the brand promise and all that has helped us, you know, we all have good employees, but I can honestly say our 26 people are the best in the business, and they believe in this, and it starts with the leadership. It's not just me, my dad,
Absolutely.
your executive team. I don't care what type of industry you're in. You can't do it alone. But that's what I mean from a culture standpoint. When we're interviewing people, we bring this up proactively. Here's what we're all about. Oh yeah, we've seen you everywhere. We need you to believe in the same concepts because it's just
It's part of the CHDNA. I mean,
it's
it's the
the
marching
spark in the
orders.
DNA.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
from a region, we're huge into collaboration with chambers, banks, credit unions, and it makes things even better from that standpoint, even though they're not a client, but you collaborate with them with the right teams and network groups, it takes your business even farther.
And we've, because of in your corner, we talk about, your four cornerstones in the corner office, a blog post, everything are those branches of the same tree. And if you don't have those roots, if you don't have that bedrock of a solid brand promise that assumes a customer benefit in it, and there's all these components that go into it that we've worked together on over the years, but if you don't have that foundation, then it's just that much more difficult, as you say, to go to the next level because things are not congruent.
Right.
And one final point or two here that I want to, if you had to, Joe, if you had to quantify, I talk about 10x your trust, know, like, and trust. If you 10x that, what are the implications of that? And you can look back over the last 14 years and it translates, it's not a perfect science, but it translates onto the balance sheet. Can you talk about the equity that the actual
Yeah.
brand and the brand promise has given
Well,
CH?
you mentioned 10x. I mean, I think back to 2011 when we got together, I would say we're easy 5, 6x. Okay. Maybe 7x. I know we'll keep going. It'll be 10x, but you know, you helped us with this, with CPAs and things of that nature. Is there a brand equity value? And there is a value. There is a value. You helped us. You worked with the accountants and our CFO here, and it's tangible. It is tangible, but it's taken time to get there, and
Yes.
that'll be worth something someday. Just like, you know,
What would you say though to it? What would you say to it? I mean, there might be an agency or a business owner that may see this video and say, "Well, I need traction in 2 years or three. I want to sell within the next 3, 4, 5 years." Is it still a worthwhile investment?
Yes, I mean, I'm speaking of all industries. I've given you a couple referrals. People are saying to me, my clients, who's the person that helps you? We need to get a vision and a brand, and they got great business savvy, but they don't understand the brand, the marketing, and they can sell and do all of that, but they got to have a story behind it. If you're ready to exit someday in any industry, you better have the intangibles, right? You've always said this is an intangible. It's an important piece. By the way, here's our marketing system. By the way, here's our brand. Talk to any of our people, our clients. It's worth X. And it's not just in insurance, it's in every industry. And
Yeah, whether it's the multiples, you look at EBITDA, you look at all of that, and the multiples, et cetera. I mean, one, what would you say? I mean, can you confidently say, yeah, we have a marketing system, we have an onboarding system, we have a media system, everything works together, and
yep,
everybody knows which direction we're rowing in.
right. It is, as you know, you worked with us religiously the first, I don't know, 5, 6 years. You're always working with us. But, the beautiful thing about you is it continues, meaning you got us there. We're still rowing. I have an idea. I can call you, right? I have an idea. You put the idea into reality, right? people out there are going to say, oh, I have a digital person, I have a media person. Well, they're placing ads. You're more than that. You're I call, the coach of the brand or next level stuff that makes you different. Any business owner, and it's not just insurance. And we now elevated, we got the HR Minute, we've got Risk Management Tuesday. I mean, we got so many things out there that we have ideas and you help put them together.
How do you translate it?
And,
How do you
and
plus it? And I think that that's important too. I want to stress that as a business owner, you either have to have a general spirit of curiosity, a general spirit of innovation, of adaptability, and an openness to try, because not every single thing that we have tested, we call it fast failure, right? So fail fast. I mean, if it's not a bulletproof system, but if you do look at it as a measurable system, and you fail fast and you test and you keep this spirit of learning and growing alive, we're talking about next level in a way that does become tangible, that is measurable, and it's palpable any room you walk into in the markets that you serve. This isn't just trust and storytelling. They aren't soft skills, and they do
right.
translate.
And I know I've told you through the years, we can be in Boston at a Boston game or New York City at an event at an insurance convention out of this city, right? Buffalo, the biggest insurance day. Hey, Junior, are you in our corner? I mean, it's contagious. It is contagious, and it's the power. You had to believe in it, but it's the power of what social media and LinkedIn and all this stuff is doing. And, that stuff's free. I mean, but you got to have a plan of attack to put it in. I mean, you'll help me
Right.
occasionally, but I don't want you doing 4 posts a day for me. I mean, you're our high level person. What do you think of this? What do you think of that to make us better? Right. So that's what I would tell potential viewers out there that, you know your plan in the next 5 years, but you got to understand the mechanics before you get to the level we're at. And
Yeah.
you always told me we'd be there, and we're there, but I got to look for other mousetraps to become even better, as we always talk
Well,
about.
and it's 1%, that's this is the final note that I put on here, is that we've always believed in the idea of adapting and evolving. I mean, that's always been the mantra. But in the last couple of years, Joe, I seeded the idea of this, and how could we bring it to life? And we put posters around in moments of truth around the offices, and we've kept it kind of, again, in those roundtable discussions with leadership and with your teams. 1%, just 1% better, 1% better, 1% refinement, test this, tweak that. And that, sometimes there's bigger leaps, right? With a new product launch or something like that. But most of the time it's step by step. Trust is built in
You
drops, right?
you
It's
kind of
built in
told us
drops.
1% each week on something, whether it's service, sales, administration, candidly, personally, right?
Yep,
1%
yep.
better, whatever your relationships with your family or whatever you do. But 1% better, it always, equated to, my God, that's 52% in a year
Just on one subject,
on
right? If
one
you were to
thing.
touch one thing.
On
Yeah.
one thing. You want to work out 2 days a week? Well, you want to do three, try it, but you're 1% on whatever it is. But I pertained it to a business, and it's great because the staff felt it a little, even, some of my team. I know I'm going to try to be 1% better, and the process behind it. And that's the other thing. A lot of times, Angela, once or twice a year, they're sick of listening to me and our executive team. I love it when you perk them up and give a little energy and topics that make them better. And that's important too.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes at us with whatever industry you're in, but you bring that third party vision that they like.
Yeah, I think I started out with you and your dad because before we got with the rest of your
Right.
senior leadership team, it was just you, me, and your father. And a generational business is, there are dynamics at play there that are not present in other types of structure. So the three of us sat and we talked about what success could look like and what's the legacy? What's the outcome ultimately? If we had to fast forward, what would it look like? What would it sound like? And one of the things that was really important to your dad is that people could trust you. That trust that was already intrinsic that he had built from his core of who he
Well, yeah,
is.
remember
And then
the industry in our back then, I was, well, not in 11, but the trust was with senior, right? It was always
yes,
senior, senior, senior.
yes,
And then it
yes.
was senior and junior, and that's good and bad. We needed the trust in the company because of
Yes.
the industry we're in. If you remember, you uncovered, well, tell me who CH is back in 11. Oh, it's senior and junior. Well, those are bad things to have. We had a team behind us, and that's what you brought out in the envisioning sessions. I'll still never
And
forget.
also that insurance is not high on the trust scale.
Oh, I know. Oh,
Most competitors go out there for the annual renewal, and that wasn't part of who you were as a team. But because you're a part of an industry, you kind of have that's the 800-pound gorilla, right? And there's no getting out of. You are who you are in terms of that power of association with the rest of the industry. But I think that what the journey that we began all those years ago identified what was already intrinsic to the organization. We shined a light on it. We crystallized it into some powerful, memorable, and repeatable words. And we put it into play day after day, 1% by 1%, in a system, in a systemic way, and gathered the team around it. And here we are 14 years later,
and
and
we're still doing it.
we're still building.
I just don't call you on weekends anymore. It's been, we're moving forward. Um, but it's just great. And I would tell your viewers in this video, if they, feel free to check us out on social media, all the CH insurance platforms. Feel free to call me. I'd love to help. But it's all industries. It's all industries. And
Yeah.
I
But the
just want to,
congruence is important. You'll see that no matter where you look at CH Insurance, that they walk their talk. And Joe, you're right. It does come from leadership, and it's been a real honor to be on this journey with you. You've shaped my world dramatically over a decade, and I've learned a lot from seeing the work put into practice. I've learned so much. It's invaluable what the feedback and the collaboration, and even the collaboration that I've had the opportunity to work with some of the partners that you've brought in and aligned yourself selectively, but you've
right.
aligned yourself with them. And it's overall a rising tide should lift all boats. Everyone should prosper as the result of a great
And,
conversation.
and kudos to you, you know, how we feel about you and our team and my dad. And we just thank you for being in our corner for all these years. Cause that's what you think about it. You said it would lead to being in our corner for your vendors, carriers. I don't consider you a vendor. I consider you a coach and a leader, but you've been in our corner. I
Yeah.
mean, that's, I mean,
Yeah.
that's how we think of things in what we do day in and day out in our business, but who we're dealing with as well. So kudos to you, and I appreciate everything you've done for us.
Well, thank you, Joseph. I appreciate it. And to those of you seeing this video, thank you for staying with us and hearing both our stories and how we've collaborated. And, trust does win the day. We're in an economy now where trust is the new currency. And if you're not building it, then chances are you could be losing it. And unless where attention goes, energy flows. Unless you're analyzing your business from the standpoint, the perspective of, how can we be better in building our trust across all departments in every facet? you're missing out on a tremendous opportunity, and CH Insurance is a testament to that. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Have